Welcome back. Now for your 5-day weather forecast, we go outside to Adriano Mancini.
It's been a gloomy day in Toronto with school bus cancellations seen as an effect of this weather. And here's the 5-day weather forecast for the remainder of the week. Toronto is expected to see rain for much of the day with light snow also in the forecast. Expect a high of +4 and a low of -2. The school week will end beautifully as we are expected to see sun and clouds on Friday with a high of +5 and a low of -1. Saturday is going to be a windy day with a chance of showers. Temperatures are expected to be a high of +4 and a low of -3. Sunday will be a cold one with a high of 0 and a low of -8. And Humber students will return to Humber College on Monday with sun and clouds with a high of -1 and a low of -6. And that's your 5-day weather forecast. Now back to you guys in the studio.
Thanks, Adriano. NDP party members are starting to vote for Jack Layton's successor today. After 7 months of campaigning, party members will elect Canada's new leader of the official opposition. Members will cast a ballot for 7 candidates, placing them in order of preference. Most votes will be cast through mail or online before the party's leadership convention on March 24th in Toronto.
The RCMP have launched an investigation into an Ontario fertility clinic's operations. Officers entered the office of the Canadian Fertility Consultants in Brighton, Ontario, east of Toronto, shutting down the business effective immediately. The raid is the first under legislation banning the purchase of sperm, eggs, or the services of surrogates. The consulting group offers couples help finding surrogates, fertility treatment, and adoptions.
Now turning to the Middle East, Syrian rebels say they are making a tactical retreat in Homs neighborhood because of worsening humanitarian conditions. A rebel holding Homs has been under attack by government forces for 4 weeks. Rebels say they're running out of weapons, food, and medicine. The deteriorating situation has prompted the UK to close its embassy in Damascus. Canada's embassy remains open, but Foreign Affairs says services for Canadians are limited.
After breakthrough negotiations with the U.S., North Korea has agreed to roll back its nuclear program in exchange for much-needed food aid. North Korea has agreed to stop uranium enrichment and nuclear and long-range missile testings. The Pacific Rim nation will also allow international atomic energy inspectors to monitor activities at nuclear facilities. The move comes just over 2 months after the death of the country's longtime ruler, Kim Jong-il. U.S. Secretary of State Hillary Clinton says the move is a modest first step. She says the U.S. will meet with North Korea to finalize details for a package of 240,000 metric tons of food aid.
Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu will be in Ottawa Friday to meet with the Prime Minister Stephen Harper. Netanyahu will be discussing Iran's nuclear program in a press conference with Harper, as well as the decision to strike Iran. The meeting comes before a visit to Washington with U.S. President Barack Obama to discuss the same topic. Obama's administration has urged Israel to fall back on any final decisions to strike Iran, but Netanyahu has decided to keep silent. The Israeli government may be trying to look to Harper to keep his support.
And now with your sports news, here's Thomas Surska.
The Toronto Maple Leafs closed out their atrocious February with a 5-4 loss in Chicago last night. Joffrey Lupul had a goal and an assist early as the Leafs held a 3-1 lead in the first period, but couldn't hold on for the win. They finished February with a 1-9-1 record and sit 4 points out of a playoff spot. We hit the halls of Humber to find out what students think about the Leafs' struggles.
They're not doing too bad, you know. They do this every year, so it's nothing new. It's the same thing. It's okay. I think they're doing fine.
Well, there's like a belief, so I believe that we still have a chance.
Really bad. They don't have any chemistry. They, at the time that they need points the most in the stretch of a playoff run, they're not getting it, and they're losing all faith in their coach Ron Wilson. They're not listening to him.
Well, it's not good for Toronto as representing the city, but I would probably say that if the Leafs were to be better, I'd probably watch the Leafs more and be more of a hockey fan.
There were 3 other games in the NHL last night, with the Penguins, Blues, and Sabres all picking up W's. Moving on to the NBA, the Raptors held off the New Orleans Hornets for a 95-84 win last night. DeMar DeRozan and Linus Kleza led the Raps in scoring with 21 points each. The Raptors open a 4-game homestand tomorrow against the Grizzlies at the ACC. Meanwhile, Insanity led the Knicks to a win in their first game since the All-Star break. Jeremy Lin scored 19 points and added 13 assists as the Knicks pounded the Cavaliers 120-103. Lin finished February with averages of 20.9 points and 8.4 assists per game. He did, however, commit an NBA-worst 5 turnovers per game in the month, including a season-worst 9 in a February 17th loss to the New Orleans Hornets. In Major League Baseball news, the league is expected to officially announce today that it is adding 2 more playoff spots, allowing 5 teams to qualify for the postseason in both the American and National Leagues. The Blue Jays are expected to have a better chance of making the playoffs under the new system. They haven't qualified for the postseason since Joe Carter touched them all in the 1993 World Series. Since '93, the Blue Jays would have qualified for the playoffs only once, with an extra playoff spot up for grabs. And the Humber Hawks men's and women's basketball teams will be in action tonight at the OCAA Provincial Championships. The women will be taking on Algonquin, while the men tip off against Fanshawe. That's it for sports. Now back to you guys.
Thanks, Thomas. After the break, we'll get the latest in entertainment from Joseph Englehart.
It's a sad day for daydream believers everywhere. Stratford's hometown hero becomes a man, and a fast way to get yourself an Oscar. All this and more in your entertainment update.